leftover plywood from building the sawhorses, shaved down 1 inch to 20 millimeters. It will be parallel. So now I'll let them dry overnight through the router one more time, and using the top bearing, I'll just open the appropriate blast gates.
All right, so now time to start installing. All the prep's done. We've measured, we've cut, I've got the backing up, and we've got the tools that we need. So in addition to the jig for holding it up tight to the ceiling that we made in an earlier video, I want to show you a couple of more tools that I'll be using for the install. Obviously, I'll be using a nail gun. I'll be using just an air-driven 18 gauge with 2-inch nails in it, 2-inch brads. This isn't normally what I use. I have a cordless fusion, Senko fusion, and I've had various cordless guns, some with gas and some that just have a crank with a battery. I found this one works as good as an air gun. The dilemma is my battery is dead, but not only dead in the sense of not charged, but won't charge. So I have to get a couple of new batteries, and then I'll be back to using this. This is a really nice gun when you're working up high and not having an air hose. Plus I had to stretch 150 feet of air hose from the compressor up here. So it would have been nice to have this, but air always works. I'll glue up the outside corner, and then I'll use these mitre clamps to hold it together while the glue dries. The most important tool that I'll be using, I'm working by myself, much cheaper than having a second set of carpentry hands just to hold stuff up. I'll be using these crown hangers, and these are made by FastCap. They are, an ABS plastic. They're really stiff, really strong, and they are very easy to use, and sure better than having a second guy and another ladder working with you. I'll show you how I install them. I basically, depends on the size of the crown. This particular crown, I know that the top of the holder will be about 1 inch or so down from the ceiling. It's not critical. We're not holding the crown tight in position. In fact, we need it a little bit down because to remove it, I have to push up. There's a little slot and an L-shaped slot, and I have to be able to push up and slide it off to pull it out and nail the crown back. So pretty easy to install, and then the crown will just hang there while I'm fitting the corners. And so I'll show you how I put these on right now. So I'll put on this about 11-foot section, I'm just going to put 2 on. Doesn't really matter where they go. And you can use a nail. It doesn't matter. Whatever you attach it with is going to remain permanently. You're just going to lift off and leave it. I like using screws. And another way I can do it is I can use my crown holder and just make a mark where the bottom of the crown is, and then just put it a little bit below that so I have room to push up. And I don't want to make the screw tight because it'll hold it. So you can see I can move it up and down, and then because I'll have to reach up in, and all I have is this tab to grab onto, and I want to be able to slide it off. You can see that's a little tight. So I'll make sure it's loose enough. And if you're just using a nail, a headless nail, you won't have that problem at all. So with a screw, I just want to be able to reach in, push up, and slide off. So this job, I'm going to start with the outside miter. You saw me measure. I always measure clockwise to the right. I always cut long to short to be the most efficient with material. And I always install clockwise to the right, except when I install counterclockwise to the left. In this situation, I have an outside miter. So I want to fit the miter first. This is the longer side of the miter, so I'll get it up, get the short side up, I'll work them together, fit them, and then I know I'm going to end in that back corner with the cope, so I'll be backing up to the left one more time and installing that short piece. Then I'll jump out and finish out the room to the right. Just simply drop the crown in them, and it'll stay. I don't have to worry about it falling out. These are real stiff plastic, and they're loose enough that once I start working the corner, I can move it in and out. But that's how I get away with doing it with just these 2 hands and not having expensive labor helping me. Okay, I'm ready to start installing. I've got the long piece hanging up in a couple of the crown hangers, and I've got the short piece, 1 crown hanger, and it's just kind of leaning down here. That way I don't have to reach back to hold it up. I can fit it once I get this one side attached. So first thing I'll do is take my crown install gauge and I'll get this adjusted. And you can see if you just push it up, it looks right. The crown installing tool, it shows I'm way off, so I want to get it so that this is flat on the wall, slides up and touches the ceiling, and that traps it right in there at that same spring angle that it was cut at. It's real important that that matches, and it's just really hard to see visually. So this little simple tool helps a lot. And those are just tacks to hold it a little bit in place while I work the mitre, but I'll go ahead and nail down on the next stud. So I've got it nailed here, and I went ahead and pulled the crown holder that was down there. So I'm good in here, and now I can work the corner. And just laying it in there, it's a perfect fit. So I'm going to glue it up and then clamp it. Now I don't glue copes because they're pressure fit, but all outside mitres are glued. Glue the material on both edges. So I spread the glue on. I want to seal the edges. Just a perfect fit top to bottom. Cutting that spring angle properly makes all the difference in the world, and you just cannot see it with your eye. You can be off just the tiniest amount and have an 1/8 inch gap from top to bottom and just not be able to fit it. But if you cut these at the right spring angle, and all it takes is that crown jig, the straight edge, and then you can get a perfect fit like this every time. Went ahead and took down the other crown holder. And since this is such a short piece, by putting it in at the proper angle here, it doesn't have much room to twist. So the crown gauge just fits perfectly right there. I'm still going to hold it there while I nail it. So with the cope, the butt the cope is pushed in real tight, so the piece is tied in. To try to roll it up with the crown stop, it's a little low, so I need to bump it up a little bit, and it's tight, so I'm going to do that with just a wood block tap. So when I'm putting a long cope up, I put the crown hangers on and put not as many as, to hold it nice and steady up there, sort of flop it in there. And then I work on the actual cope side, and to get that fit and get a few nails in, then I go back to the butt side and I fit that in and nail it off using, the crown gauge so that I know it's right. And then I come back to the middle, pull off the last crown hanger, and I'll spring it in, and that'll just push everything nice and tight. So if you take a look at that inside cope, without any filler or anything, it's just absolutely tight and it's press fit. So that is going to go nowhere ever. It's going to always stay tight. Of course, this is paint grade, so I'll be filling all the nail holes and caulking the top and bottom. but as you can see, we don't have to worry about, ever worry about that joint. So I don't know if you can see this last little bow here. I've kind of pushed it through and my cope is lined up good. And so I just push this last little bit in and it just pushes the joints together so tightly. Well, the woodwork is done. Time for the painter to come in and do a little caulking and fill some nail holes and put a nice coat of paint on. He won't have to work on any of the joints though, and that's because of the copes. They're tight, so I really encourage you, cope, practice. The light will come on. Once you see the cope, once you see the cut and see the angle to put the saw on, it will be as easy as swinging your miter saw over and cutting a 45. But the installation goes much faster and you've got a much better finished product. And you can take pride in your skill being able to do copes. So many carpenters avoid them because they think they're difficult. But the truth is probably nobody's taken the time to show them how easy they are to do. If you like these videos and you'd like me to do more of them, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure you like these videos as well and share them with others. Also, if you'd like to get a set of plans to build yourself one of my workbenches, you can click on the link in this video. Well, thanks for taking the time to watch. Have a great day.